Matt Tomkin, welcome to Lancashire Business Stories.
Afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
Not too bad.
So we're going to talk about how you got started, what your business is all about,
Yeah.
some of the challenges of being a business owner,
Okay.
and a little bit more about actually what your business does,
Yeah.
and some top tips for business owners. So all in the space of 30 to 45 minutes.
I'll see if I can find some
there's-
top tips, eh?
There's going to be a challenge for you. So how did you get started? You know, when you first started work, what were you doing, and how did you end up being a business owner?
Well, I've always sort of wanted to be a business owner since reading Richard Branson's books, early doors. Love them books. And so I started with a company called TV and Video Direct on Knowlesy Street. And I went in there and did about 12 months where I sort of helped them go from, take some of their more manual things that they were doing and then worked with a software company at the time to produce a more streamlined process for updating the prices of TVs. Back then, things like Price Runner, Kelku, those comparison sites were the main traffic of sales for those types of companies at the time. Very infant, or ads were in its infancy, that sort of thing. So those platforms were key to driving those revenues.
And were your qualifications in software or that kind of stuff? Is that how you got into doing that?
No, I learnt it. So no matter what I've done over the years, and I have done lots of different things, I just completely immerse myself in learning everything about what I want to do and achieve.
Okay. So you were helping them to increase sales from the platforms they were using?
Become more efficient in doing that. And then I got into having a conversation with Boyle Sports, who were in Ireland. At the time, they were doing loads of like the TV rigs and things like that for bookmakers. And I got involved in that department early on and ended up doing the biggest deal that they'd done in terms of TV screens and stuff for Boyle Sports at the time. It was like 1.7 million at the time. And I wasn't in sales, I was in operations. Right. So the sales guys were still going around and driving around and selling all the different wares. The margins were low, don't get me wrong, really low. So the profits weren't huge on that sort of stuff. But it was nice to get involved in it at that time. And obviously with me wanting to go into business very, very quickly, did that. And then got an opportunity to become a salesperson for a telecoms company back in 2007 maybe. Lasted about 8 months there.
What were you selling?
Phone systems.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was out on the road or telesales? Or?
Bit of both. So if we were self-sufficient, so we had to get our own data, so go door knocking. We had to ring, and if we were in the office, we needed to do something like 150 calls a day. Wow. And we would map how many calls to meetings we'd have, then meetings to sales and all that sort of stuff. And it got me really involved in that data and analytical side of the sales side of things as well. I've always liked dealing with people and trying to move those things along. Not your out and out salesperson, like I'm not a car salesperson or something like that, or the stigmatized car. But I want to help people. I want to move them along that journey and help them understand. That data then allowed me to sort of go, you know what, I'm all right at this.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've done much telemarketing or cold calling since, because I hated it. I lasted about 8-9 months there, and then set up my own telecoms company called Comms Consult.
Right.
With a good friend of mine, Jeff Bateson. And at one point we provided all the telecoms for WeBuyAnyCar across the world at the time. They'd moved into the EU, they'd moved into the US. One of my favourite projects there, because what you will find is I'm a nerd. I love technology, and I love technology in the way that it helps people progress forward and move either their business forward or themselves forward and become more efficient and better at what they do. And one of the best projects I ever worked on was WeBuyAnyCar bought 6 car washes, and they stripped them all out. And in Birmingham, they stripped it out, and we effectively made a drive-through car valuation. Right. So it was on the main road in Birmingham, and I remember it. You drove through. There's an ANPR camera on the front. This was new technology back then. There's an ANPR camera. It fired off to the data center. The data center then fired back a rough valuation based on what they'd seen and the auctions and stuff. And there was a big screen saying, like, turn left if you don't want to accept, turn right if you do. And people were just queuing to go through this car wash, and absolutely loved it. And then another big project we worked on there was bonded 3G SIM cards. So back then it was 3G. 3G wasn't rapidly fast. Lease lines cost a fortune. And they had the pods that they've still got. So like at Morrison's, they've got pods there of people that buy cars. And they couldn't dig up the tarmac to put a broadband circuit in and stuff. So we bought these routers and found these routers that would bond the data connectivity together and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, loved a couple of those projects and stuff, and we're doing loads of call center systems and things like that. Ended up exiting that to start a sportswear brand. VO2 Sportswear it's called. I, as part of the working with the Bolton Lads and Girls Club, they had an Atlantic rowing team, and I somehow managed to get myself onto that Atlantic rowing team. I spent 2 years training for it, and we did tons and tons and raised, I think, about £250,000 at the time for the club, but never ended up doing the row itself because my eldest lad was born in October, and we were due to go from La Gomera in the November. So I never ended up doing that, but I did numerous Ironman triathlons, different ultra events, stuff like that. And what I'd spotted was that tri-suits and cycling kit was really boring. And I don't know how, but I just stumbled across sublimation printing. So you could effectively print whatever design you wanted to into fabric. So I found a factory, funnily enough, in Lithuania, Alytus, Lithuania. The guy who owned it, I bumped into at a local pub. And then ended up, with this factory of, I think there was about 300 people there at the time, all machinists and cutting things and stitching it all together and stuff. So that was a fun time. We turned what was really boring black tri-suits into branded club stuff. At one point, I think we sort of estimated we were covering about 45% of the triathlon clubs in the UK with custom triathlon gear, custom cycling gear, that sort of stuff. I was really lucky at that point to get involved with Help for Heroes. So a good friend now, Mark Airy, he was like the head of the strength and conditioning there, and he wanted some kit, and I got really pally with them, and ended up being the able-bodied athlete for the performance team that did the arch-to-arc triathlon from London to Paris. Yeah. So we created 6 world records doing that.
You're a bit of a monster when it comes to doing like ultra stuff and marathons and running across deserts and stuff, aren't you?
I mean, I think I like to be out of my comfort zone, and I like to be pushing something further than I've pushed before, if that makes sense. And Ironman got a little bit. I'd done it 3 times.
And it got boring. Got too easy.
Not too easy. I think boring. The training is so hard when you're doing 3 different disciplines. Yeah. And you've got to spend tons of time training, doing some running, and then tons of time cycling, tons of time swimming. And I've now got 3 kids, and our second came along, and trying to do all those 3 disciplines and stuff, and sort of. Leaving the kids and my wife and things just to go out for a 6-hour ride and things. Yeah.
I think people forget sometimes, they see athletics on the TV and they'll see, all sorts of different sports going on. And when it gets to a high level, I think sometimes people forget just how much effort goes into it. And especially if you're going to do something like an Ironman, you don't even need to be at a high level in terms of your standing in the sports from a national or a global level, you still need to put a lot of work in just into to complete it.
Yeah.
I mean, my background, I did a little bit of my only sports really is archery. I used to do a lot of archery, and when I started, I was quite fortunate. I had a natural aptitude to it, and somebody took me under the wing, one of the coaches.
Yeah.
And quite quickly, I was training on a Monday night, a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, a Thursday night at 2 different clubs, going away Friday and competing over the weekend, coming back on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, competing, rinse and repeat, week in, week out for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And that got me to the final of the National Indoor Championships, and I was ranked sort of 13th or 14th in the UK.
Nice.
And that's okay, but then to get from there into the top 4 or 5, top 3 or 4, something drastic would have had to happen.
Yeah.
I had a full-time job and I had a wife, and you just know that something's got to give, and you don't realise the sacrifices that you need from a performance viewpoint to really get to that sort of level. So
definitely,
tip my hat to you for what you've done, because I couldn't do it.
I mean, I think the endurance stuff is, you have to be of a certain level of fitness, don't get me wrong, you've got to do that fitness, but I love the mental side. I'm 600 miles an hour constantly. My head's all over the place, whirring away, and
what do you think about when you're running, when you're in the middle of a desert?
All sorts of stuff goes through your head, but some of the when you're doing the ultras and the multi-days and stuff, actually you get into a really nice state of not thinking about things at home. When I say home, business, debts, people owing you money, what's going on, where we're getting that next sale from. That it sort of evaporates for those couple of days. There's often songs that sort of come into my head. I mean, one of the best experiences, and I can't believe I'm admitting to this on camera, but one of the best experiences I ever had was like this feeling of elation in the middle of this canyon in the Wadi Rum Desert in Jordan. And it was a long day. It was like an 80k day. It was about 40 odd degrees. I think low 40s it was. It was ridiculously hot. And I remember coming into this canyon, and it was miles long, and I was the only person in it at the time. And I just felt this elation, and I got my arms out, and I was just sort of jogging along, and Ollie Murs was whirring around in my head. I don't even like Ollie Murs songs, but that was whirring around in my head, and I don't know. There's tons of things you can process really easily when you're in that sort of you're middle of nowhere, I guess.
I can imagine. Because you've got nothing else to think about. You've got the sound of your breathing and the sound of your feet pounding on the floor, and not a lot else unless you hear some of the nature round about.
Wow.
So
yeah, there is that.
It's a sense of enlightenment, I suppose.
I remember getting chased by a camel. It was at the end of the 80k day. I wasn't actually getting chased by a camel. I saw a camel and then just started hallucinating that he was chasing me. That was up some...
Right, back to business.
Apologies.
VO2 as a brand.
Yeah.
Did that go anywhere? Did you...
Yeah,
what happened to the brand? What happened to the business?
So at the time, I started it when I still had Comms Consult, and I was still working doing phone systems. And so the first year of VO2, we did 6,500. I then exited Comms Consult, and the second year we did 95. Third year we did about 250. We then did 350 the year after, and then we ran out of cash. Just as we were really flying, I mean, we had... overtrading is something that I didn't believe in until I ended up in a situation where I was overtrading. I always thought that we'd find an investor or the bank would give us some money if we were doing that sort of revenue. And I remember one month we did 60 odd grand in a month. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. It's carried on growing. The month after, winter started to come, and most people stopped cycling, fair weather cyclists anyway, stopped cycling in the winter, and no one bought anything, so we did 600 quid the month after, and it was a really, really tough time, that, because I'd sort of put everything on the line to do it. I'd reinvested everything that I'd earned from exiting the Comms Consult, and I was at the stage I didn't have a car. I was running to and from the office. Luckily, we had an office in Total Fitness at the time, and we had showers. So I'd have a shower and then I'd run home afterwards.
So the business was in a from a P&L perspective in a profit situation, but from a cash flow perspective, you just run out of money.
Yes and no. We'd added more people to the team than we probably should have done, thinking that we'd carry on with that growth trajectory month over month. But because you're selling a product, it's hard. So cash flow killed us in the end. We ended up liquidating the company. Someone bought it out of liquidation, so it's still there now, which is hard to see. But do you know what? Massive lessons that I've now taken into Tau.
What would be the biggest lesson, do you think, from that?
Stop being too sure about yourself. I think I'd got to the point where I was overly confident in my own ability. Let's put it that way. And I was God's gift to business at that young age, and I wasn't. And I see the story play out over and over again. You see young people who are getting into business, they do really, really well, and it's ace. It's brilliant to see it, but then you do see that they get very cocky and arrogant. There's a handful that are lucky who carry on, and that's great. Yeah. But there's so many out there who then end up failing because they took the wrong decision, or they spent the money on something that they shouldn't have, or they've not had those lessons, those hard lessons of make sure there is money in the bank. Even if there isn't, even if you do have debts and people haven't paid you, make sure you've got that sort of elastic fund and ability to call on that money when you've got it. And then the biggest lesson that I've learned is when you're doing well, just take that money. The banks will be all over you. People will be all over to give you money, right? And yes, you might be paying a percentage of interest or whatever on that money. But it's so much easier when the bad times come to have that money just sat there in the bank. And yes, you might have paid a bit of money to borrow it, but actually having a good chunk of cash flow in the bank stops you, to a certain level, being really concerned with those debts.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things, really. Number one is, absolutely, money you can use as leverage. There's good debt and there's bad debt, isn't there? And the bad debt's when you've got money and you just spend it on a new car and you've still got to pay it back, and it's gone and there's nothing you can do with it. If you're using good debt and you're using it for leverage, i.e. you're having a pool there when you need it, or you're investing in something that you're going to get a return from, then that's good debt.
That is the key definition, isn't it? A credit card and going out there buying things that you don't need for ridiculous amounts of money that you shouldn't be buying, versus business debt or mortgage debt.
Making money from other people's money.
Yes.
And that's key to it. And the other thing is, I think that helps a lot of people in that situation is, well, number one, to have a mentor who's been there and seen it and done it and can advise and ask the right questions, but also to have a great plan and a great forecast. Yeah. There's some great tools out there nowadays online and stuff that we do with our clients where you look at scenario planning. Yeah. Rather than just looking at what's the best case scenario. Well, yes. Going to carry on growing. So you can sit down and you have, in simple terms, a spreadsheet with your cash flow forecast on and your sales forecast on. You go, right, what would happen if we added one person into this? What would be all the costs that we had to add on? Yeah. What would it do to our overheads? What would it do to our bottom line? Yeah. What do we expect their return on investment to be? If they're a salesperson, what do they need to bring in to break even and make a profit for us? What happens if there's a 5% or a 10% or a 50% downturn in the market? What would happen to our numbers? Yes. So then you've got the numbers, and it's just a question of turning the dials to see what might happen. Exactly. And you can go, right, if that happens, what would we do in that situation? Yes. So you're forward planning, rather than being on the back foot all the time, you're then thinking forwards. Yes. And that's one of the crucial things for business owners, to constantly be thinking forwards about what's going to happen and what might happen and what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously recent times, the turmoil in the global economy.
Yeah.
Because of things happening over the Atlantic, I guess. It has been concerning for a while. I mean, last year was it just felt like it was up and down constantly. And it was funny, actually. I was speaking to an IFA yesterday, and global equities markets and things like that. He was bamboozling me with information. But one of the things he said was actually the nonsense that is coming out of the US at the moment, or the US government, shall we say. The markets seem to be just ignoring it now and just working forward, because actually it's all you can do, isn't it? You know, like the instability that there is now over there is you've just got to work through it and make sure you've got the plans in place to push against it, I guess.
There's plenty of podcasts out there that are talking politics, so I don't want to go into that.
Yeah, no,
as much as we could probably sit here for hours and talk about that. So, lessons learnt from VO2.
Yes. Yeah, VO2, yeah.
So that got liquidated.
Yeah.
What happened then?
I spent another 8 or 9 months working with a really close friend of mine, Jackie Hyde at Stanmore Insurance Brokers. Okay, quite emotional actually. She's helped me out over the years just so much. She really has. Just as a person, as a friend, but also financially when I've needed it. There's been no question about it. You know, and hopefully I've repaid that favour. But yeah, so I spent 8-9 months there. It was a real tough one because I love being there. I love what she's built. I loved trying to help move that forward. At the same time, I'm an out-and-out entrepreneur, and I really struggled having to wait for permission for things, not be able to action things as fast as maybe I wanted to. I am an out-and-out entrepreneur. If I see something, I want it, and I want to do it, and I want to change it. I want to push it forward, and I think that you know, I ended up then sitting with a friend of mine, another friend of mine, Dave Thornton, who's got a bids and tender consultancy, and he basically said, "Look, when we're chatting over a beer, which we often do and did, and I was chatting about the fact that I wanted to start helping other businesses, and also have my own agency, if you will. Yeah. They're called agencies, but they're just another business." And provide that marketing service, predominantly search. So VO2 had grown. All that period of growth was all based on search and Google, pretty much. Getting the right pages, all that sort of stuff. And it was what I was into. Another friend of mine at the time, David Ingram, had Bring Digital, was doing really, really well online. He'd come out of AO, or Appliances Online as they were, and he'd set his own SEO agency up, and he helped me with all that sort of stuff and helped me understand where I should be learning from and things like that. And over a beer, Dave basically said, "Right, well, I'll cash flow it, mate, for 6 months." For 6 months. So we set up Tau, which is now Tau Digital Marketing. Within the first month, it was paying for itself. It's profitable, so we didn't need to fund it. And after about 18 months, 2 years, we made a deal that I would acquire the shares back for some extra work that we put into his business. Yeah. You know, and he didn't need to do that. Again, you know, over the years, there's been a lot of people help me out, and you know, again, I want to pay that back, and hopefully at a certain level I've paid that back to a number of people. But I think you know, that was a journey and a half, getting from employment, or out of employment again, back into the world of entrepreneurship.
How quickly did you start employing people in town?
3 months.
Right.
Yeah, 3 months. We had the first person in the team. And then, we grew. So May the 4th. So, Star Wars Day. Started in 2017. And by the end of 2021, there was 12 of us. COVID was a massive kicker at the start, but then we ramped up. But because of the situation of COVID, it was like, we're getting more clients, we need more team members.
Yeah.
Actually, none of it was planned, none of it was consistent. We had the wrong clients, we had the wrong staff or team members, and it didn't fall apart, but I did. We'd gone through a period of everything falling away and everyone going on furlough and stuff like that, to then things coming back, but then coming back at such a rate that I didn't even have time to think about it.
Right.
And that took its toll. And I'd probably say maybe it's only the last year and a half really where I've got back to the point where, right, let's stabilise it, let's grow again. And I'm now in that phase of wanting to carry on growing and moving that forward.
So 9 years. So just tell me a little bit more about what you meant by it took its toll.
Oh, I think... So, my wife is a midwife. We've got young kids. So she would... Relatively luckily, she was a key worker. So the kids still went to school.
Yeah.
But they were young. Our youngest was in nursery at the time, anyway. And she would go to work in the morning, come home. She couldn't come anywhere near us. She was pregnant with our third. No one knew what it was going to do to babies or newborns. There was vaccine promises. There was all sorts of stuff on the news. You sit there and you're like, right, how many people have died today? And you're like, oh, God, this is horrendous. At the same time, I got 4 people who still needed a job. I got clients sort of jumping ship left, right and centre. I got a local company who owed us 6 months of money and was like, oh, we're not paying you because of the situation. I'm like, well, I'm in the same situation. Like, you should have just paid.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, Christ, I've built something over this 3 years that is really growing and really starting to take shape. We just signed a new 5-year lease on a big office, ready to expand into. That's a funny story, actually. When we first got the keys, there was me and a couple of my mates, and obviously we were socially distanced, so you were allowed with people, but you weren't allowed with people, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we arranged to have a bit of a party, and there was 4 of us all sat in a different corner of the office to make sure we were socially distanced, and we'd come in and go out separate and all this sort of stuff. It was a bit nonsensical, but a lot of it was at the time, wasn't it? And obviously being in Bolton, it was Boris's favourite thing, wasn't it, to slap Bolton with a sanction. Yeah. You're not allowed out in Bolton because the world's ending. But so there was all that, and then I went from stressing because we had no work coming in or we were losing revenue to then setting up a couple of our own projects, thinking, well, if we're gonna get out of this, I'm gonna do something about it. So we set up Save a Small Business, which was like a website where small businesses could link themselves onto, and they got tons of traffic. It was quite popular, actually. We got quite a lot of press coverage and stuff, which was cool. So that was free for local businesses to just put their business on, and the site would then help promote them and promote their new services and offerings and stuff. Because back then, some of the local businesses never had websites that you could order on and things like that. So we went through that. We set up a couple of other small projects, but then, big companies were realising that for an extended period of time, their sales team that were costing them £1.5 million, £2 million a year to have on the road couldn't go out and sell. This is a massive company that ended up getting bought out by Diversey. I mean, realistically, us tiny tow at the time shouldn't have been working with a £150 million turnover business, but we were, and we were really enjoying it. And they came on board to ramp up their sales. I think it was a knee-jerk reaction for both us and the client at the time, but we were doing 20 days a month for them. So in terms of revenue, it was huge. So we ramped up the team. We brought more team members in and stuff. And then an SEO is a long-term game. So what happened when COVID came? Well, it never disappeared, did it? Still with us. But when everything, all the restrictions and stuff started loosening, they started asking loads of questions about how long it's going to take and stuff. Yeah. And we were only 6 months into a really long project. Like they're massive. The amount of pages and products and stuff that needed working on. So we were sort of on notice period, if you were, but then they never said they were leaving. They carried on trickling through and stuff. And, at the time it was, well, we need to keep the staff, we need to keep paying the bills, we need to do this, so I need to keep them on as long as possible. But all that stress just builds up and builds up and builds up in your mind. Yeah. And then you go home and there's all the other stuff that you've got to contend with. At the time, I didn't have the ability to buy our own house, because of everything that had gone on with the sportswear brand and stuff. It was just a time where tons of things were just weighing you down, or weighing me down particularly. But we had to just keep going and keep powering through, I guess. And coming out of that, you build a sort of spaghetti of things that all intertwine. It's really hard to then go, well, I need to streamline that, I need to streamline that. That means getting rid of that person, or that means getting rid of that client and that sort of stuff. And just carried on in a muddy world for too long, I think. Yeah. At the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of stories like that from different businesses and business owners around. It's a challenging time.
Yes, it was.
And it's a challenging time for people in general, for all the emergency services, for employees, but particularly for business owners, because you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your team, you're thinking about the business, your clients, your family. There's so many different things going on in your head, I think.
Yeah.
And some people came through it and some people didn't.
It's a really good point, actually, about your clients and stuff like that. Like, I genuinely care about who we work with. I genuinely care about doing a good job. Genuinely care about wanting to do better and help people move forward. At that time, you're having really difficult conversations with really, really good business people about whether they could even carry on with their own business, let alone pay us.
Yeah, from our perspective, I think we work with about 150 different people, either in group scenarios or individually for free during COVID, just to help them.
Yes.
There was nothing else we could do. They couldn't afford, they didn't have the money to invest in coaching. So we wanted to help them for free to do whatever we could. And we were jumping on daily calls and weekly sessions and all sorts of different things to help them. Staring at a computer screen for hours day in, day out. I'm just going to stop there for a sec.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I forgot to turn the phone off. We can't keep hearing the bleep out. I need to write myself a checklist of things that I need to do.
Before you start.
I haven't done this before. So let's talk about town now then. How many people are there?
4 at the minute. So I sent out a job offer yesterday, actually, for someone who just contacted us out of the blue on LinkedIn. Wow. Came in and did a presentation, and she just came across amazing. So I offered her the position, or a position, there and then in that initial meeting, which I've never done before. So hopefully she accepts, but she is great, and I know she is going elsewhere. So we'll see. And then we are recruiting for like a exec assistant just to help support everyone in the team and stuff at the moment. So.
And what are the key services now that Tau Digital offers to clients?
Yeah, so we are a search marketing agency predominantly at the moment. Right. So encompassing a number of different areas. I think where we're heading is performance marketing. We want to generate leads for clients, and it's quite an exciting area, and how we can manoeuvre ourselves through there. Because obviously, being an SEO agency or a search marketing agency, we've got tons of data about what people are looking for and what they want.
Yeah.
And actually pairing that with more out and out lead gen, paid ads, paid acquisition, different channels will be quite exciting over the next 12 to 24 months, I guess.
I often hear search services described as a black art.
Yeah.
And, sometimes, I've heard clients say, well, I get all this information from the agency at the end of a month, and I get all these numbers and stuff, and I've got no idea what any of it means, but I'm not sure whether I'm seeing any clients as a result of it.
Yeah.
So I think being able to define actually the true return on investment that you're getting in marketing, let's face it, whatever kind of marketing you're doing, ultimately it's about getting a new lead.
Yes.
And then getting your sales to convert that into a client, whether that's done through a website landing page where somebody clicks and buys, or whether it's done through them then calling you and then you're having a conversation with them. Ultimately, you want somebody to say, yes, I'm interested, and that's what marketing is all about.
Yeah.
And being able to measure that accurately is really
it's
important.
Crucial. Yeah. I mean, there's two things to unpack there. The first is, the data that we have and can share is ridiculous. People don't need all that data.
No.
Like, I'm a business person. Realistically, I just want to know how much it's costing me per lead, and am I converting it? There's lots of people out there who expect tons of data just because that's how it's been done. And what we try to do, one of the things that I want to try and do is try and help people understand the important bits of that data. So, we offer a local service sort of Google Maps package, which is our entry into the world of SEO, if you will, or search marketing. And that is for any service any service really that a Google Map pack shows on. So a listing of normally 3 businesses organically, and then if there's a paid ad in there, there's 4. The top one's normally paid.
So in simple terms, for anybody who Googles, you'll see that there's a little pack of results that come up with a map.
Yes.
Above it, and you get 3 of those results. There's always more. Well, there's normally more, but they're hidden, aren't they?
Yeah, you have to click.
You only see the first 3, and people will often click on one of those first 3 results.
Yeah, so the last estimates we looked at or found were that 60% of all clicks happen on those 3 local listings if there's a local map pack shows up. Yeah. You can see where there's a local map pack shows up. It's anything with near me on it. So plumber near me, or financial advisor near me, or family lawyer near me, those sorts of searches.
So these are predominantly B2C services, business to consumer services, or would you apply?
Not necessarily, no. We're at the moment we're working with a global company on this that do wireless and remote CCTV towers. So yes, the volumes are lower, but actually people do need one that can go to site. So if you've got a construction site in Birmingham, for example, that you want to keep secure, you want a company that can come and provide that in Birmingham.
That location.
Yeah. And so the map listing will show up. We have a company that do container conversions, because again, Google understands that when people look at container refurbishment, container conversion, they want a company that's relatively local, but there aren't many. Right, so you get this big sort of northwest, or like a snapshot of the middle of the UK and a couple of dots on it.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting to see. And then yes, you do have like the local plumber. That there's tons of plumbers. So actually, you only get a small area really that you can.
So standing out in that listing is really important.
It's vital. Yeah. If you're not in the top 3 on that, then you aren't getting any traffic, pretty much.
And I know we've talked offline before, and you've shown me the maps that you can produce that show where people rank on that list.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the difference that you can make, because I remember you showing me, and it was all red and orange. They were dropping down. They were off the list, basically, hidden away somewhere if they were on the list at all.
Position 4 down, you're not there.
You're not there. It's like traditionally we'd have said if you're not on the page, in the top 3 results on page 1 of Google.
Yes.
So that's the traditional sort of view of it. But then you've got this map pack now that people are looking at, instead of just looking at the organic results on Google.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, the second thing to unpack there is understanding what's coming from it.
Yeah.
So in our package, don't get me wrong, if you look at us from a cost perspective across the board, we'd probably be classed as a premium solution.
Yeah.
But it's because we back it up. And we back it up in a sense of we will track all the phone calls that come through that. We'll track all the website traffic, and therefore the leads that come through and the form submissions and stuff like that come through the Google Map listings themselves. We can prove a return on investment. And we know what works and what doesn't in those particular areas. And so, yes, it's really nice to see a shiny map where you've got green all over the place, but actually, is it turning into money? We actually work with an existing client of ours who works with us on SEO, and we put the map service on. And within about 2 weeks, it was very clear that actually they were already ranking in the top 3 for everything they could want to rank for. So we just turned it off because there's no point. Like it wasn't the right thing to be doing for the client.
Yeah.
And then the second thing to sort of look at there is I hear it so often that, I'm not sure we're making money on this. Well, as part of that whole dashboard and understanding exactly what's going on is how much money we're putting in, how do we track that return down to that person, not down to the Google Analytics stuff, which is you've had 45 form fills from this. Well, 40 of which could be complete and utter spam. Who knows which page on your website is actually doing really well from a driving revenue point of view? What keywords in your Google Ads set is driving revenue? Is it your Google Business Profile that's driving revenue? Which channel that you're investing all your hard-earned cash into is driving money into your business? And we have a dashboard that allows us to see that. So, I mean, it shoots us in the foot every blue moon, right? So we have had a client in the past where we've turned the dashboard on and Facebook or Twitter has been outperforming the organic search. Yeah. Well, look, the data's there. We're not going to keep going on about how they should be carrying on with us if they need the budget somewhere else and stuff. Like, why? Why would we want to do that and have people frustrated with what we're doing?
Yeah.
But the majority of traffic to websites still comes from Google, even with the advent of AI and all sorts of other things. The thing that I see most often with businesses, particularly in the SME level, where there's a massive disconnect between when the lead comes in and whether it's answered or dealt with quickly enough. And what I mean by that is we own a alloy wheel repair website, and it's something I set up in COVID, funnily enough, just as a bit of fun. Well, I say fun, it wasn't fun back then. It was to generate leads for alloy wheel repair services. So you scratch your wheel, you Google it, tens of thousands of people a month search alloy wheel repair near me in Google. And so we set that site up, and more recently we've been testing different tools to actually accelerate that, lead to action.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened a long time ago now, probably 5-6 years ago now, just coming out of 2021, 22, was we were working with a law firm, and the senior partner wanted us to send all the leads to their individual email and their individual direct dial. And this got us onto the whole software of attribution and understanding where these leads are coming from, recording it, transcribing it. Is it a sales call? Is it not? We sat down after a month of them spending like a couple of £1,000 on Google Ads for divorce, for example. It was probate.
Yeah. And
we're like, right, well, here's all the leads. Here's the lead volume. So you've had 150 leads. I've not seen them. I'm like, okay, right. So we looked at the call recording and the data, and all these calls were going to the direct dial, and it was going straight to voicemail. But then they weren't picking up the voicemail. The email was going direct to them. it wasn't being picked up. There was nothing being done with those leads. No. And depending on the solution and the service that you offer and how competitive it is, you can guarantee that if someone puts alloy wheel repair into Google, they will contact 3 or 4 companies. The first one to respond will get the work, as long as you're not charging 500 quid to repair a wheel. Yeah. The first one to respond and have that conversation will generally get the business. Yeah. So we've used our alloy wheel repair site as a bit of a test bed over the years. We get a lot of inquiries UK-wide on that, and then sell the leads on to partners in that scenario. But what we've done recently is we've utilised AI to help bridge the gap. Yeah. So people can now contact us via WhatsApp. They can request a form completion. They can make a phone call, and they can also SMS or send a message on Facebook or whatever. And we have programmed an AI agent in the way that we want them to talk, in the way that we want them to discuss pricing, in the way that we want them to discuss everything. And any channel that they contact us on now, they relatively instantly get a conversation back. Yeah. It is an AI, and there's no escaping the fact that it is an AI agent. We've even called it Ali, the alloy AI agent. Right? I didn't come up with that one. But the conversion rate has gone from something like 5% to 25%.
It's incredible.
Just because we are getting back instantly to people, whether that's at 1 a.m. in the morning or 1 p.m. in the afternoon, they are getting a conversation. The questions that they have are always the same. They're getting the answer that they need. And I think that there is a huge opportunity at the moment, which is what we're trying to explore in the whole performance marketing piece, which is, yes, we can generate leads. Anyone can generate leads. And no, most of your leads aren't terrible. It's just because you're too late. And so that's why we're trying to help people now is we know we can generate leads from SEO. We know we generate leads from paid. We know we generate leads from social ads. The lead gen side of it isn't the issue. Yeah. It's the qualification. Yeah. It's the human
sales process. Yeah. It's the steps that you go through to get them from, yes, I'm interested, to here's the order.
Yes.
And it's something that we talk about with clients all the time. There's a couple of bits to unpack in that. Number one, it's one of the basic areas that we cover is about what we call delivery, but it's the ease of doing business with you. How easy is it for people to find you?
Yeah.
How easy is it for them to understand what you do?
Yeah.
How easy is it for them to talk to you?
Yes. Yeah.
How quickly are they going to get a response from you? How easy is it for them to place an order? How easy is it for them to pay? I'm always astounded by sometimes how difficult people make it for people to give them money. Have you ever been somewhere where you want to give them cash and they go, no, we only take cards? And it's just like...
Well, I don't carry cash, so I don't know that one. But what I do know is when someone sends me an invoice and it's got bank details on, it drives me insane. Because all I have to do then is I have to wait till I've got a spare bit of time. Then I've got to log into the bank. And I've got to set in a new payment. I'm like, look, just give me... it's so easy to give me a card or a direct debit link. Just...
And they go, well, that's going to cost me like £3 or £5 to do that, and it's all off my margin. And they go, well, it's quicker. They're going to come back to you again.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly doing that. And the other part of it is, as you said a little bit earlier, it's about knowing the numbers.
Yeah.
So number one, how much does it cost you to buy a lead? But more importantly, how much does it cost you to buy a customer? So you can get 100 leads, but if you only get one customer as a result of that lead, then there's a challenge in between your marketing, it's your sales process. You're only converting 1%. So how do you increase your conversion rate? You've got to measure it first.
You have to measure it all.
And then it's how much profit are you making from that customer?
Yeah.
Because if it costs you £1,000 to do the marketing to get that one customer, but that one customer is going to give you £1 million of profit, then it's worth it.
I'll have them.
And if
you can send me one.
And if you can increase your conversion rate from 1% to 5%, it's even more worth it.
It absolutely is.
Understanding those key numbers in that process, how many leads, how much does it cost per lead, what's your conversion rate, and how much profit you're making from each one that you get in each marketing channel, not just overall, but in each marketing channel.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I think, people ask about cost per click when we're talking about Google Ads all the time. Yeah. What's the cost per click? I don't care. It doesn't matter.
No.
Because all that matters is, what does it cost to acquire the lead? And then, is that lead then profitable? If it's profitable, let's put some more in. I say that, we want to make sure that those keywords are the right keywords, right? Yeah. So we will always look at what a cost per lead or a cost per sale is, and then do more of it. But you can only do more of it if you actually have the data from the start. So what keywords, and we've been working a long time now with a business broker in Manchester. They were in sunny Bolton and they moved to Manchester. I'm not sure why. But one of the things that we kept doing there was we kept drilling into that data to the point where we knew for every pound that they spent on a particular keyword, we understood how much roughly they were getting back. Yeah. That's really key, especially when you do have it in the back of your mind of, what's the cost per click? Well, if it costs 50 quid a click, but actually over all those clicks and 50 quid, if it's 500 quid to acquire a lead and that lead then turns into £10,000 worth of profit, like you say, keep doing it, even if it is the expensive click, because that's the one that's going to turn into money. Yeah. And you've got all sorts of other keywords and all sorts of other terms around in that funnel that are never going to give you the money back, but you could end up spending tons of money on it.
It's a simple marketing principle, and I, when I'm talking to clients about marketing, I'll often say to them when we're talking about buying a customer, if you give me £100, I'll give you £150 back.
Yeah.
And he says, "And would you do it?"
Yeah.
And they'll go, "Well, yeah, of course I would."
Yeah.
And give me £100, I'll give you £110 back.
Yeah.
Would you do that? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But not all of them say that. Some of them go, yeah, is it really worth it?
Is it worth it for me?
Is it worth it? So, and then the other element of that is obviously lifetime value, because, sometimes it may be, as long as you're getting a retention on that customer, if you've got some kind of recurring revenue, then it may be that it costs you £50 to win that client, and the first month you're only going to get £5 back off them.
Yeah.
But you know that you're going to keep them for a year or 2 years, whatever your lifetime value is for that customer. So you're going to make it back over time from them. So sometimes you know that a customer is worth more than the first order.
Yes.
So you've got to take that view as well. But you've got to have the numbers to back it up and the data to back that up. You can't use hope as a strategy.
And I think the whole e-commerce world is exactly that. And I think that there's a lot of new people moving into e-commerce. Well, all the time, I guess. But yeah, you can pretty much guarantee that, in e-commerce, you might lose money on that first sale. As long as all the other stuff is built in, your remarketing, your retargeting, your audience profiles are built, your email segmenting is right, and your automated series and stuff, then over the lifetime, you should make money from that client, unless they're, high-end products that you're only going to buy once. But, it's so important. For me, I just don't understand how there can be businesses out there spending thousands of pounds a month on marketing and not understanding, which pound has led to the profit. Yeah. It especially today. I mean, there's exercises you can do with marketing. You can put, lots of different offline marketing out there, and it's quite hard to track. But if you're investing in digital marketing, like the tools are there to. Yeah, again, they're not 100% accurate, but they're 95% there. And you can see exactly what page and what URL they did, and you can track that whole process through it, and you can optimize for it. And it staggers me that people don't
even
look
with
at it.
Traditional, non-digital marketing. You can measure every single strategy that, whether it's an advert in a newspaper, whether it's going to a networking event. There are ways of testing and measuring every single marketing strategy that you employ. Yeah. And people just don't.
No.
Just don't. And it's, my clients will tell you that I'm always banging on about it to them.
Yeah. So, we have a CRM that you can rent a phone number, a tracking phone number for like £2 a month. Yeah. Well, even if you don't get any calls on it, at least that proves your marketing's wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you've got a different phone number on each, QR code on each. Yeah. It all works, doesn't it?
So if there were 3 top tips for business owners out there who maybe are bubbling under the point where they can use your kind of services, they want to, but maybe they're not quite there yet, but they want to try and get started doing something in terms of digital marketing and doing it right, what would be your top 3 tips for people?
So I think the first thing is build out a better dashboard than Google Analytics. So Google Analytics will tell you top level data, but it won't tell you who and where and what. I think once you start to understand where some of the good customers are coming from, you can start to invest what resources you do have into that type of marketing or into that type of content. Google Analytics audiences. So in December 2025, Google reduced the requirement for remarketing to audiences from 1,000 people to 100. That opens up a massive opportunity for remarketing or putting your brand back in front of people who have been on your website and never acted. So they never became a lead, they never contacted you. You've done the hard bit.
Yeah.
You know, for £5 a day, you could have a budget that just puts you back in front of those people on different platforms. So building those audiences, I think, is really key. And then if you do have a business that has some form of local aspect, you know, and to test that, put your service into Google and see if a map shows up. If it doesn't, then you're not seen as a local service, but the majority of people will. Have a look at that and make sure that you've claimed your Google business profile, you've at least put a phone number on it, a website address, some questions and answers. You've set up a message function so you can put WhatsApp in there now so they can just message you off Google. And just add some photos, do some posts on there and stuff, because
clients leave you reviews.
Reviews are one of the big key drivers of where you rank as well, and velocity of that as well. And just see what comes through it and see what the value is, because I think, you know, there's a lot of people out there who, you know, you mentioned the black art before. It isn't a black art. Google's only goal is to make money, and they make money by serving ads to the most amount of people that they possibly can. If Google's search results are rubbish, people are going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to Bing, they're going to go to Yahoo, they're going to go to DuckDuckGo. So make sure that your website answers the questions that people are asking, or answers the query that people are looking for in the best way possible. You know, the best sites rank at the top of Google. You know, if you've got two pages, one's your about us and one's your contact us form, you're not going to rank. There's just no way. You know, and I think that is, you know, something that people need to think about. It isn't a dark art. Just be the best.
I mean, there's a great book by a guy called Marcus Sheridan called They Ask You Answer. I know you've read it, but it encompasses some of what you've just said. You know, it's answering the questions that people ask before they even ask them sometimes.
Yes.
You know, one of the best things that a business owner can do is every time a potential client or a client asks them a question about anything to do with the business that they have, is to write that question down and write a blog or a FAQ and an answer on that and put it on the website. Because if Google start, you know, Google, what do people do when they want to know the answer to something? They put into Google, how do you do this? Or where can I find this? So if you're putting, you know, the top 5 XYZs in our area, and they're going to come to your website to find them. So, you know, just answer the questions that they've got.
And even the AI tools, I was looking at some statistics yesterday, and like the biggest sort of grounded queries are in that how-to area. People are looking for solutions. Where it doesn't matter where they're searching. If your site and if your properties, let's say your online properties, answer those questions that your clients are searching for, you will surface at the point where they are ready to buy, or where they're looking for a solution or an answer to something. And
So, I mean, if somebody's thinking about the kind of services that you offer, and we've talked about a few different kinds of businesses, but who'd be typical in terms of the people who get the most from it in the quickest possible way? Trades, local trades are obviously a classic example. Are there others apart from that who you would say, yeah, definitely, they're the ones who need to do this?
Yes. So local trades are an obvious one.
Yeah.
I think at the sort of entry point that we are, there need to be a couple of people in the team.
Yeah.
You know,
they're going to get that many leads. So if it's just one person, they're not going to have time to deal with them all, are they?
Funnily enough, I actually spoke to a plumber recently, and he's such a nice guy. And we looked at it, and I showed him some of the stats of one of our plumbing clients, who is 6 vans, 7 vans, and he's like, I'd love to pay for it, but there's just no way I could actually answer that many calls or that many, take that much business. I couldn't do it, and I don't really want to add more people in the team. I'm like, well, fair enough. Like, you know, don't worry. That's cool. We work really, really well with professional service-based businesses. You know, financial services, insurance brokers we do a lot with. Insurance brokers that have their own specialist schemes, really quite cool. We do a lot with them. We've had some case studies.
Legal services, people like that.
Well. Legal services. Consultants. Yeah. You know, anything where people need a service, but they need to understand what they need first.
Yeah. And people are regularly searching for them on Google, of course.
Yeah.
You know, a volume, or at least either a high volume or a low volume with a high value service for them to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we and obviously searching on other platforms. Yeah. So we're doing a lot now with clients to help them with servicing on AI, search tools and chat services and things like that.
So what's next for Tao then? 4 people now.
Yeah.
What's the big goal? What's the big vision?
So I'd like to double the team in the next 12 months. I think it's doable. We recently became a search ads partner for TikTok. Cool. I don't use TikTok. I never will. However,
I'm looking forward to seeing you on the scroll of doom,
dancing around. However, I do understand it's a growing search engine, and so it makes sense for us to move into that space. I think, you know, like I said before, I want to. My goal really, and part of why Tao began is I want to help other people grow, and I want to help people do that by being able to nerd out on technology and stuff, right? Yeah. So if we can help businesses with all channels now where they generate leads, and we become, you know, well, term it as a performance marketing agency or whatever. Lead generation, I think, is our next phase where we don't necessarily just offer a specialised service. Like, we are specialists in search, don't get me wrong. But I want to be able to help clients with a goal achieve the goal.
Right.
And what we'll do there is start to pick from different channels and different services. In my opinion, every business should be looking at organic search and search marketing. It just is the best generator of business and revenue that there is. And it'll continue that way, whether it's on Google or whether it's on ChatGPT or whether it's on Perplexity or whatever. People are still searching for services and products. Yeah. They want to understand what's available.
Well, if you think about it, when you want to buy something, where's the first place you go? Well, the first place you go is the place that you bought it from last time.
Yes.
You know, if you're getting a service, you go back to the place where you're getting the service from.
Yeah.
If you haven't got it from there, then you might ask your closest, nearest and dearest or whatever, or who you trust, who they would use. Yeah. But after that, it's Google.
Yes.
Or You know, other search engines are available. But,
yeah.
And a little bit more ChatGPT and other AI-driven tools and stuff where people search. But people are still searching for services online, aren't they?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Yeah. 2 or 3 quick fire questions just before we finish. Number 1 is if you could offer your younger self some advice when you were just setting out in life before you had your own business, what would the one piece of advice be?
When I was 19, I set up a personal training business online, which was called Trainer Force. And I gave that up because other people said that I needed to get a job. But I was the first in the UK to put online training online, if that makes sense. There was Gym USA, I think they were called, who were doing it in the US. It was only a matter of time before it came over to the UK. And we made a couple £100 a month for like 12 months or whatever it was. But I gave up on it to go and get a job and move through and, you know, learn how to do things. Well, just don't listen to it.
Could have been the next Peloton.
What?
What, the first Peloton?
Up and down and up and down.
Yeah, well, they're up again now.
They are up again, yeah.
Okay, so advice for other business owners are right there. If there's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody else who's out there in the big wide world of business ownership.
Business owner or thinking about it?
Owner.
An owner. Track the metrics. Get a dashboard built. It is so easy now to pull all that data into a centralised dashboard. But it's crucial to everything. Every decision needs to be made with data.
Numbers are the language of business.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And are there any sort of, when you think about your business journey and the growth that you've gone through and the challenges and everything that you've overcome, are there any particular videos, any particular people that you follow, mentors, any books that, apart from the one that we've already mentioned, that you would refer either business owners or people who are thinking about going into business to read, that they could get something from and learn from?
I mean, I read tons.
I've seen your bookshelf, Matt.
Yeah, I read a lot, and I guess I picked one, maybe two bits up from them. I think Atomic Habits was a great read.
James Clear.
Yeah, and then one I'm reading at the moment is probably one of the best that I've read. To stop with that hesitancy of bringing someone else in, really, and that is by Dan Martell, who's obviously quite famous in the tech space. Buy Back Your Time.
Right.
And for years, and I mean years, Jackie, who I mentioned earlier, has been telling me to get a PA. I'm like, no, I can't have a PA. Like, the business isn't big enough. Like, no, I can't have a PA because someone such and such will laugh and think it's funny and stuff. And do you know what? Reading the book and looking to recruit sort of an executive assistant at the moment, like that's a daft decision that I never made. Like it should have been one of the first hires, because what's really staggering in this book is it is the epitome of what I've done, which is you hire for the things that you do, but that's the thing that you enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy going to my email and having 7,000 bloody people asking me for something every day, or trying to organise my calendar. Like, it drains my energy. And actually, the energy is the thing that you want in life and how you want to drive forward. So that book is, I've not finished it yet, but just even after half of it, it's an awesome book.
I'll borrow it when it's finished.
Yeah.
It's two of the biggest challenges that business owners have from a mindset perspective, and we've talked about this before, because we've talked about this. Why should I pay somebody else to do it when I can do it myself?
Yeah.
And nobody can do it better than I can.
Yeah.
And if you want to grow and scale your business and double the size of your business, you can't do it all yourself because you just run out of time.
No. Well, one of the things is, 80% is better than you trying to do it 100% but not managing it.
Yeah.
And it's crucial. I mean, sort of been in and out of my own businesses for 20 odd years now, and this is the first time where I've felt really comfortable being able to go, do you know what, I do need someone to support me and be able to help me with things that, yes, I should be able to do myself. But my God, there are tasks that I have to do that just drain the life out of me. But if I don't do them, they are crucial and they will cause issues. But there are people who are better at it than me. And even if not better, actually, my time is better spent with other people enjoying that task. not me.
Absolutely. How do people connect with you if they are interested in talking about local search and search in general and the digital services that you offer?
Yeah, so obviously LinkedIn is sort of the first place. The website is taodigitalmarketing.com. So that's TAO.
Yep.
Tao like cow. And yeah, I mean, we've got social channels and stuff like that. Again, we need to be better at that, to be fair, which we're working on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so taodigitalmarketing.com or my personal LinkedIn profile.
Brilliant. Yeah. We'll put all those links in the show notes and stuff so people can find you, and hopefully one or two people might get in touch.
Brilliant.
Matt, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for the invite. Been good.